guys, how are you guys doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. I'm good. Is everyone ready to...
Let's see.
Okay, does someone want to read the first question?
So the first question is, to someone who hasn't taken this class with you, what would you say you learned this semester?
I'll go first. I would say I learned a lot about different movements that fought against oppression and ignorance, and simultaneously learning about like other cultures, and especially like their arts and like their languages.
Mm-hmm.
It was really interesting to have the guest speakers and come in and teach us, like the one lady with the dyes and then the other with the midwife stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I also learned a lot about land acknowledgement, which is actually kind of cool because I have a family that's Native American. My aunt is part of the Miwok tribe up in Sonora. So that's something that's, like, really important to her. And then, like, we have friends who live on the res and everything. So it's just kind of interesting to be able to, like, relate to them a little bit more and, like, learn something about them.
Mm-hmm. Like, know their backstory.
Yeah.
Okay, so trying to find my points. Okay, so I learned about land acknowledgement, and I thought it was cool to watch the documentaries because I was able to see what other cultures like, just like how I didn't know hair could be so spiritual and a symbol of their culture, and so it was interesting for me to look at that and do my own research about it as well.
Taking this course, I actually didn't really know what was it about. Like, I'd be honest, I thought it was like ethics studies. So, but I'm glad, I'm still glad that, that it is like a requirement because it's taught me about different cultures and kind of the histories and what they've gone through that doesn't normally get like talked about in like normal American history. Like I feel like the civil rights movement kind of gets like pushed like real quick because there's so much. So it's like nice to slow down and just like kind of stay in these topics and spread like the people's histories.
Yeah, like I didn't know what I was going into. I signed up for it and I was like, we'll see what happens. I had no clue what it was. I want to say I like barely even heard about it, so like I was like, okay. But it's taught me how different cultures can have like different traditions and stuff like that, histories and different movements that people put together to make their voices heard at the end of the day.
Yeah, for me too. I didn't know what the class was. My academic counselor was just like, oh, you need it as a GED. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll take it. But I didn't know, but I kind of like was like, maybe it's about the past, but like I don't know what about the past, But it taught me about like the movements that's like happened and like that are still happening to this day, and then about like the different cultures and different lands, and yeah.
Yeah, I think I took it for a requirement, and I knew what I was getting into. But like it was like at the end of the day, it was still me taking it for a requirement, but I did learn a lot more than I thought I was gonna learn, and I thought it was interesting the way that the class was kind of set up to where, it's not like out of a textbook. It's real movements, real readings from real people, and guest speakers coming in. Like it felt like we were looking into their lives more in depth than just reading out of a textbook because you're actually talking to real people.
Yeah, like actually seeing someone going through all that.
Yeah.
And dealing with...
Especially, like, the videos. I think the videos helped a lot. Even, like, the videos that were in the weekly topic presentations. Yeah. I feel like those helped a lot by making it more real.
Yeah, like, one thing I was going to say is, like, the weekly presentations, I felt like really helped me, like, learn and, like... Because it wasn't just, like, oh, you're just reading a textbook. Like, it's kind of someone, like, you're making a lecture, so you have to know about the topic enough to teach it to someone else. Yeah. So, especially your topic, you really get to get into it and research it and learn about it, and then also learn about it from other people using the multimedia with like the videos and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was really cool.
And like, for the presentations, even though like they were all presentations, I feel like every like group delivered it in like different ways. So like it wasn't all the same. It was never like.
I feel like it was easier to comprehend too, because I feel like it's like a student to student like level of understanding like conversation, instead of, you know, a professor lecturing you about stuff and you're just sitting there and go like. And like that, I feel like a lot of, you know, a lot of classes where like when it's more group discussion and like conversational type, I feel like I learn a lot more. So that was kind of nice.
My favorite thing about like learning in this class, or my favorite thing that I learned in this class, was about the mural here on campus. I had no idea it had so many like little meanings to each step or each picture, and I really liked learning about it. I had no idea that was a thing, and I liked it. That was probably my favorite thing I learned about in this class.
I knew it was there because I have a class in the drama building, so I walk by it all the time, but I didn't like ever like really pay attention or like know that it was like commissioned by two I think she said two famous artists or something like that.
And there's like a movement behind it, right?
Yeah.
That's with the blades and everything. Like, it means so much for it just to be a picture. Like,
It's crazy how like one picture can mean so many different.
That's what I meant. You know.
Like the importance and like meaning behind like art. Like when you know the meaning, or you know the background of the piece and everything.
And I'm sure it means a lot to people like even out of context, like with no background and no information, because it's, you know, it's a really big mural too. It's like
Now every time
hard
like
to miss
I
it.
drive past like the art building, I can always see it like on the right there real quick, which is cool. So what was like, I guess we kind of got into a little bit, but what was like the 3 topics that really like stuck with you throughout the year that we've learned?
For me, it was my topic, the ethnic studies, challenges and opportunities. And then I couldn't pick one movement, so I just picked all of them. I don't remember exactly which ones were that stuck with me the most, but it was more of the movements and how they like became a thing, and how people had the confidence to speak up and say something. And then the land acknowledgement, and knowing how like this isn't our land, and how we should appreciate it and for all its glory and all that. And
like that just kind of opened your mindset on like, I don't know, like sometimes in life we could be very like stuck, like what we're doing, whether it be drama or school or, you know, work. And so just like kind of having it as a reminder to, you know, just like relax, like go outside, touch some grass, you know. And just like really connect and just like take a break, you know. Which it was like a good reminder too.
That was our last lecture, right? Our last in-person one. We talked about how to like take breaks and go outside and enjoy what is around us rather than just sitting at the screens. I know we talked about like doing things outside, how that can help our mood and everything like that.
For me, the 3 topics that really spoke to me were the history of ethnic studies, land acknowledgement, and then because I had the challenges and opportunities continued one. And I just, after taking this class, I actually reached out to more of my family that's in South Dakota that I don't really talk to a whole lot. And I was asking them questions and stuff, and how, you know, just like stories about my great-grandparents and like whatever they remember. Because it was kind of interesting, because like I feel like a big part of how you can move forward is by knowing where you came from and like connecting to those roots. And so that the history of ethnic studies was kind of important to me, because I feel like it's important to like know where you came from and where ethnic studies came from to help it move forward. And then land acknowledgements, because I have family that has relations to that. And then the challenges and opportunities, it was just interesting for me. It stuck with me because that was one that I was researching, but it was also interesting to see how much went on that like you don't hear about. Like the one bill made all the way to the governor, and then was not signed, but it was vetoed. But you didn't that was only in 2018, And I never heard about, I mean, whether I was paying attention or not, I never heard about any of
It's
that.
never a big deal.
Yeah, I don't remember my
and stuff
parents
like
ever
that.
saying anything about that, whether they were paying attention or not. It's like, I also feel like part of it is like, you're more involved in with what you care about. So people who aren't really like, or don't know much about it aren't going to be as involved, which, I mean, not, you can't really blame them because there's so much stuff going on that people have their own, list of priorities. But that was just really interesting to me because that was only like 6 years ago, and you did not hear anything about that like at all. So
Yeah, definitely.
I think for me, it would also be the ethnic challenges and opportunities, just because, I mean, that's the one I researched on as well. So it was kind of like I was able to go more into depth about it. But, like, seeing how in Arizona with the all the things the students had to go through, what they fought for, because they wanted to keep ethnic studies. They wanted to keep that program. So it was just kind of like, if you fight for it, I guess you can make it,
yeah.
It shows like the power behind like, coming together and, kind of not necessarily like violence fighting, but like when you fight together and you're determined that, you can make change.
It shows that you have resilience.
For my topics, there was a history of ethnic studies, the third world consciousness, and the student power of the third liberation. And the one that like I researched more and like caught my attention more was like the history of ethnic studies, because I feel like what's it called? It like helps you like get knowledge from not only like your background but like from other people's too, and you just like acknowledge them.
Did you get a chance to finish all your topics? Sorry. Yeah, okay, sorry. Just making sure before I went on. So the three like kind of things that stood out to me was the Braves Wear Braids film and during the Ethnic Studies Film Festival, and the student power movement on on this campus, and the Chicano movement. The film, it really talked about kind of what you were saying about how, opening your eyes to like different cultures and beliefs. Like they have this really strong like belief about hair and how, it's kind of like a gift from God, or their God, and so they don't want to like cut it off, and so that's why they grow it out, and just like what they had to go through, like boys in school growing up being bullied and being called a girl and everything, and how it's like there's almost a beautiful kind of power to identifying with your culture, and like even if it might not be like the norm or the kind of average thing. And then the power, like the whole thing with the student power here on campus with, we're dealing with white supremacists and everything. I don't know, it just like really like shocked me to hear that, even though it was just a few years ago that we're still like dealing with these issues, and like it kind of just opened my eyes that we're not completely done. There's still change to be made. And then the Chicano movement is just like the one thing that really stood out to me was I think it was the walkout, the 13 LA walkout, where they were advocating for more diverse education, kind of laying the grounds for and also ethnic studies courses and having more minority teachers and everything. And so it just kind of showed that when the students came together, they were able to get some change done. How do you guys feel like these, regarding these topics, what do you hope changes today?
What I said is I hope others around us get to know the land that they're living on and be grateful. I feel like some people cannot don't appreciate like nature or just appreciate that everything's here for us. I don't know, I feel like people need to be more appreciative, and that's what it opened my eyes. I was very appreciative for the land acknowledgement section and learning more about it and how it affects all of us in ethnic studies.
Yeah, I think a big change would just be having more conversations. I feel like everyone's kind of in their own bubble, especially like with technology. Like you walk around campus and there's 90% of people have like, you know, headphones on, or they're on their computers doing homework and stuff. So I feel like having more conversations and like the land acknowledgement stuff, I feel like just talking about those stories and talking about, you know, these different cultures and these different people and sharing their stories is a big change, because you don't hear a lot about that. What you hear about is the like stuff like the Kendrick and Drake beef. Like that's all you hear about, but you don't hear about, you know,
like real stuff.
Yeah, like real people that are like, and real things that are happening in Turlock or in Manteca and like stuff in the Central Valley. You hear about, you know, stuff that's happening way across the world, which is, and like stuff that's like not even important if you think about it. That beef isn't important, but people that were like living here and either still live here or don't live here anymore, those stories and those histories and those like arts and languages are not around as much, and so they're pretty soon they're just not going to be around at all if it's not talked about more and spread.
Like, we need to talk about it more and not let the history in our past die when, like, future generations, because then I bet you we don't know stories about our grandparents' grandparents because it got lost. Yeah. And so at least we can remember what our grandparents are, or our dad, or like our parents, or even ours if we move or something. You make history somehow. Yeah. We can't let that just be lost. And like we have to educate people. I also think that like what should change is maybe at a younger age people should be like educated on different cultures and how it's okay, like that nobody is
the exact same.
Yeah, like each culture is different, and so for people to get bullied for their hair, like I feel like that's I didn't even understand. I was like, why? Like, why would someone like bully them just because of their hair? Like I would never bully some little boy because he has long hair. Like it's just okay. He has long hair. Like. It's not none of my business, but like some people just don't. They're just too mean
like,
to understand.
Very ignorant.
Yeah,
or like closed-minded.
Yeah,
being open-minded is something like ethnic studies can like change. You know, like so people, like you guys said, see that there's more to the cultures. There's more things that is not necessarily what is talked about like just every single day.
And we're all different, and so we have to accept that and just have an open mind and talk about it. If you have questions, like I don't understand why we can't ask questions in a respectful way to learn more about it so you can teach others so they don't get bullied for something they can't change, like a skin color or the way they speak if they have a lisp or anything like that.
Or like an accent.
Of course.
I like kind of what you're saying. I think it could be very beneficial to teach the younger, like at least bring ethnic studies closer to the younger generations, because I feel like that's when the most bullying kind of happens too, and so it's just from like kids, like they don't, maybe it's because they don't know, like you know they're stuck in what they're doing and they don't really have the thing to like think about outside of like there's so many things. So maybe bringing ethnic studies and showing that, you know, there's different cultures and it is okay, and it, you know, it is like a beautiful thing that, you know, we're all diverse and we all have our own thing and we all bring stuff to the table. Yeah. So instead of kind of encouraging the, you know, the differences and not just like focusing on only one point of view.
Yeah, I would change that too, what you guys were saying about like teaching kids younger. I put that they should probably bring like ethnic studies to like either like high school or middle school, because I know that's a requirement for like college, but like I've never heard of it in high school, so I feel like if it was taught younger, I feel like there'd be like a bigger change, and like there wouldn't be as much like bullying or like racism in a way, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing too is just get like more information out there, just because like how you said, like they bring out like irrelevant beef that like isn't even important.
Yeah.
But like the one that I researched was the Asian American movement in Berkeley. I never heard about it. I don't know if you guys did. I didn't hear about it until I did like some research for the class. And yeah, I feel like they should bring out more like information about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I feel like even just changing like the way we view things on social media and like how social media is used. Like I totally agree, like bringing, because I feel like a big part of this class was just learning how to like connect with other people and be nice. Like little kids are so mean, and I have 2 younger sisters, and my one sister, my stepdad is 6'1", so she like grows tall and then she fills out, and so she's getting bullied right now for being bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I will literally go kick a little kid in the face because that's so mean for no reason. Like she's in 5th grade, and I feel like bringing this class to like those grades would just make it to where, you know,
like
little kids are nicer. Because I feel like also like I feel like it's the parents' fault. Like you should teach your kid how to be respectful,
Mm-hmm.
and then not bully other people. But it's like also, I feel like kids these days with social media and how like social media brings up like irrelevant stuff, they grow up way too fast, and they know about, you know, rap beef and, you know, all of these songs that are coming out, but they don't know that like how to be respectful to other people, or how to, you know, how to be kind, and how to respect, how to be respectful to other cultures or other, you know, people, and the way they dress and why they dress that way, like with the hair, why they keep their hair that way and why it's important to them. No one talks about that, but they want to talk about, you know, Coachella and all that stuff. So I feel like putting that class in those lower grades will help kind of bring the focus away from irrelevant stuff towards just education and being respectful.
Yeah. I've also kind of said that, like, I hope that the next set of people, like the next generations, you know, that we can learn from all of this and learn from our history and kind of move towards like a better world and everything. For, you know, for the next generations.
Yeah.
I think there needs to be more awareness before like we move. I feel like there's too much, not enough people to move on to a big, okay, we're all equal. Like, we all want that, but I feel like not, like, social media, people don't look at that. They look at all these other things. And so I feel like we do need to put it, like, teach little kids younger, more like elementary and, like, middle school, so they can figure it out and be like, okay, yeah, I'm not going to bully someone because they're different than me. We're all, like, super cool and equal. And, like, be aware of themselves, and words can hurt. Words are... Actions speak louder than the words sometimes, too. And so I think awareness is a big thing to move towards, like, collaboration for us in the future.
Yeah, I guess if we want to start getting about our different definitions for co-liberation.
Yeah.
You want to...
Okay, so collaboration to me is just people coming together to make society better in some way, such as like injustice topics, doing movements or protesting, like having your voice heard, like learning about yourself. All those things I feel like develop us better and is a way for us to develop into a better society, humans, people around us.
Yeah, for me, I said that co-liberation is like when people come together to form like a powerful unit to like enact change against like oppression or, you know, a problem in the world, to make like a truly like free, like equal world. And like it kind of ethnic studies has also kind of shown me that everyone's different, everyone comes from different backgrounds and makeups, and so it's like everyone has something to contribute to society or co-liberation, and those different viewpoints, they can keep co-liberation growing and keep making it better and better instead of it being stuck, you know?
Mm-hmm.
For me, I mean, I couldn't agree with you guys. For me, co-liberation is people coming together and having like the same type of goals, I guess, and making their voices heard for what they believe in, making movements and spreading awareness.
Yeah, for collaboration, for me, it's like when groups get together and then like they work together for to achieve equality and freedom, and then they like support one another as well. Yeah.
Like working together to achieve the same goal.
Yeah.
We all have the same goal in mind, so working together and getting an equal amount of freedom, justice. That's
Becoming
all.
a community.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. For me, I said it's being actively involved in events that will help change the future, whether that's like events around campus or like protests or just like contributing like, you know, monetarily or something like that. And then also by getting out there and talking to different people and people who come from different cultures and backgrounds. I think, like I said before, like I think spreading those stories and just having that knowledge out there is a huge way to connect to people and make relationships that, you know, can fight against people who are ignorant or don't want to learn. And I feel like the more you connect, the more better off you're going to be because you're more educated. And I think a big part of it is by doing everything you can to make sure like yourself, like as a person, is like you're educated and stuff, rather than trying to change the whole world right at once. Because there's like, you're not going to change everyone's mind. There's some people who are just set in their ways, who were raised a certain way, who are not going to change their mind. And so I feel like, you know, focusing on yourself and doing what you can is the best way to move forward.
And then, like, once everyone starts doing that, then it can become this bigger thing where we can actually, like, have, like, a whole community of the world. But it's just kind of changing the ways and bettering the next generations, educating them more about this stuff so, you know, they are, you know, more educated on, like, co-liberation and how to be, like, a healthy society.
Yeah. Because I feel like you can't work towards a healthy society if you're not healthy in yourself. Whether that looks differently for different people, like mentally, physically, emotionally. If you're not a balanced person and you're not, you know, you don't feel healthy yourself, then it's going to be hard for you to contribute anything to make a healthier world because you can't. You have to like reap what you sow, basically. Like you have to do the work first before you can help others do it too.
If you're surrounded by negative, you're just going to view the world as negative.
Exactly.
What would...
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
What would you guys share with the next students, like, that would come next semester?
I would hope that they would come with, like, an open mind and just to, like, really hear the different point of views and cultures and everything, and kind of try to put themselves in their shoes of like what would they do if they were in the same position, and like how, and kind of look at the history itself and like see how the change was brought out to maybe, you know, if they're comfortable to kind of enact their own change in their own way, whether it be working on yourself to, you know, like what you're saying, or, you know, making an organization to make something bigger happen, and just like coming together as a community. And then, yeah.
I mean, I feel like having an open mind coming into this class is definitely like an important aspect to it, because you get to learn about so many things, and I feel like if you don't open to learning about it, you're really not gonna like enjoy the class.
Oh, for me, yeah, it would be like just have an open mind, because you do have to like, I don't know, be ready to learn and just like see everyone's like point of view in their land and their culture, and also how you said like if you can like maybe like try and make a change. So yeah.
I would say that even though this is a requirement, I would, pay attention and really take the exploration seriously, especially the who am I one. I learned a lot about my family and like myself, like even asking my parents stuff about their childhood and like just simple stories, like nothing important, nothing like super significant, but just connecting with them and like seeing them retell that and like seeing how happy they got by just like recalling those memories. And it's also kind of crazy to see the difference in worlds, like that the world that my parents grew up in when they were my age and the world now, like it's completely different. And to me, like that's a big part of it, because I feel like a lot of people don't connect with their families on that level or don't care enough to even like ask questions. Like I see like the other day I was getting food and this lady was with her grandson and he was just like on his phone the whole time. And I'm like, that's wasted opportunity. Like in my mind, especially after taking this class, like that's wasted opportunity to hear stories, to hear, different perspectives, and just to connect on that level, because you don't have those relationships forever, because people don't live forever. So if you don't tell those stories or actually listen to those stories, then they're gonna die with that person.
Yeah.
I feel like how you said the part of the who am I part of this class, I feel like that's a big contributor to the not letting the histories die.
Yeah.
To keep telling those, keep moving them forward and stuff like that.
Because I feel like anyone could pick one of these topics and say, like, they're going to take by example and work on this to help the world. But I also feel like you're missing a big opportunity if you don't even know, like, your family stories. And because I knew some to begin with, but after this class, I, like, really asked a lot more. And, like, like I said, just, like, simple stories made all the difference. And just, feeling more connected to my family and seeing how, like, that story or that experience shaped them as a person, and that internally, like, shaped me, too. Because that's, they raised me at being this person instead of this person.
Yeah, definitely what you're saying. Just, like, this class has the who am I part, where, I started talking to my grandparents more about, like, their childhood and everything. Like, I knew what you were saying, like, basics. But, like, actually hearing their stories and hearing their life experiences. And I felt almost, like, bad not doing it before. Seeing how happy it made them, like, recalling their past and, like, telling the stories and sharing. Especially, like, my grandma, when I asked her about, like, oh, like, where is our family from and everything. She's like, okay, I'm going to call this person and and I'm going to get you information. And then I think this person did one of those 23andMe, so I'm going to get their information and I'll text it to you. And I'm like, girl, I just need to know, like, the places. But, yeah, so she got, like, really excited about it. And so, hearing her stories and everything and passing it along, and also kind of what you're saying, it, like, brings more insight of, like, why they may be who they are today, like, what the experiences they had gone through and everything. And also just like this who am I has also kind of made me want to explore more about my own family and culture, and like start maybe learning Spanish so I can connect more to the culture, and maybe looking into more like Spanish traditions and everything, just to keep it going.
Taking it back to, you were talking about a little son or a little grandkid with his grandma. On Monday, it was my great-grandma's birthday, and we went out to dinner, and my pop has passed away for like 3-4 years now, and she'll talk about him every once in a while, but this day she was flirting with the waiter. She's 85, and she was flirting with him. This poor, like, 25-30-year-old man was just like, okay, and she was like, what are you doing tonight, and all this, and it was so funny to, like, disconnect from the world and just be with her. And I mean, I didn't hear stories about, like, her background or anything, like
Mhm.
ethnicity or anything.
Mhm.
It was more of just, she told me stories about how, like, oh, I told your grandpa this, and that's why he put a ring on my finger. Like, it was these random stories, and it was super cool and, like, so funny to hear her, like, try flirting and being like, I'm gonna get his number. And then I'd joke around and be like, well, you're gonna get his digits. And she goes, what's digits? And I was like, okay, Grandma, let's start. Like, it was really funny to hear her talk about that and everything. And so she has dementia too, so she, like, the next day I saw, or 2 days after that, I saw her again to clean her house, and she was like, dinner was so good last night, I was flirting. And I was like, yep, she met the 2 nights before, but it was okay.
Yeah.
She was loving it and, like, embarrassing the whole family, and
Funny.
She was
It
just
was-
having fun. She
it was
doing her.
it was so much fun
Living their
to
life.
hear, like,
Yeah.
her stories, even
Yeah.
if it wasn't about, like,
Just ethnic stuff.
Yeah, it
yeah.
was-
Well, like, it's not anything that's, like, crazy important that, like, changed the world.
Yeah.
It's just, like, their life. And I feel like a lot of people don't get that because they're so caught up in their daily life or, you know, in their work and their school that they don't take the chance to just have a conversation.
Like, really understanding that their parents, their grandparents, were the same age as you are now. They were teenagers, they were young
Yeah.
adults, you know, and, like, kind of what you were saying, like, my grandma, she also told me how she met my grandpa, and, like, how, apparently she met him at a club. She would go clubbing with her sisters, because, like, you had to have a chaperone and everything. So she would go clubbing with her sisters, and she met him at a club, and apparently they ran into, like, she was with the store with her family, like, my great-grandma, my grandma, my great-grandma. And he, like, asked them for permission to, like, have a phone call with her and everything. And yeah, and how, like, after that, like, after a bit, he would go with, they would go clubbing together, but, like, my grandma's sisters would still have to go. But they would, like, go, like, you know,
Yeah.
like, and everything, so.
Well, it's crazy to think, like, stuff that, like, we did or, like, we are doing to where it's, like, we think our parents don't know or, like, we think our parents would never do this. And it's, like, they have or they've done worse. And I'm like...
Yeah, I'll be like, your parents tell you some stories, and you're like, when they're a teenager, and you're like, dude, I'm literally at home watching TV, like, when they're, like, out doing stuff, maybe they shouldn't be doing with their friends and everything.
Yeah. It's like, I'm at home doing face masks with my boyfriend, and you guys were out, you know, doing God knows what.
Yeah. I could relate to that. My mom, at this time when I'm 19, she lived with my dad, but they had separate bedrooms and everything because of her home life. She didn't live with her mom. And then she would sneak. She'd go, like, so my dad would, like, be with his friends. My mom would go to parties, even though they're dating and everything, just by herself and meet her friends. And she'd walk out in, like, super crazy outfits. And my papa would be like, go change. And she's like, no. And he's like, go change. You live in my house. You're changing. So she would stuff a bag, wear sweats, and he would know she changed. But it was like, whatever. Like, you're just not going to wear that out of my house. And I'm like, Mom, I don't even do that. I'm not a party person. I don't find that any fun.
It's not like I have a secret bag of clothes.
Yeah.
She's like, and I've heard way more stories and I didn't even tell her. I just, like, joke around. I'm like, really? About my age, what'd you do? What were you doing? And I'm not doing? And she's like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? And I was like, I'm not saying, but I'm telling you, I didn't do the things you did. Yeah. I like to do that to her. It's fun hearing stories about family.
I think just being in the moment is the most important part. Like, I used to work in Tracy, and when I was in my senior year, and so my dad is from Tracy, and so, like, most of his cousins live there still. So we'd have cousin dinners, like, every Wednesday, and so he'd get so caught up in, like, talking about these stories from his, like, high school and stuff, and he would forget I was there. So he would tell us, like, you know, tell stories about how, you know, he was selling weed and that everyone thought he smoked he has squinty eyes. So everyone thought he was high and smoked by himself, but it made him a better, you know, distributor. So I was like, and he didn't realize that I knew that story. And then I was like, I finished it for him. And he's like, how do you know that? And I'm like, I was there, you just forgot I was there. But I feel like being in the moment is a big part of like what society is missing today, or especially kids our generation.
Yeah, they're very like connected to what's going on like in pop culture or you know on their phones or you know games and everything. Where it's like also like I have a little sister. She's gonna turn 4, and actually like her birthday's next weekend. But like me and my siblings like when she you know. We'll take her to the park and just like being there with her, and she's like running on the slide and you know and she's going on the swing and just kind of taking that moment as like a pause from school and everything and just like being outside in the park with her and she's having all this fun. It's just it's like a good like getaway, and then we'll get like ice cream or like we'll make a day out of it. Even like yesterday we did like a sibling day where we just went to Target and we just like walked around and everything. Just kind of taking those breaks and connecting with, you know, your family or with other, like, friends or, you know, just random people, too. Like, I don't know, one thing my stepdad does is he'll start conversations with people in supermarkets. And
My dad
like,
does the same thing.
and I'm like, so you're just, like, waiting there and everything, but, you know, but yeah, so it's just, like, a part of ethnic studies is also just connecting with others and kind of land acknowledgement as well. It's just like appreciating nature, taking breaks, going outside. You know, like sometimes like it just like baffles my brain. Like, how do birds fly? Like, is it just like how is that just like reality? Sometimes like we don't even think about it, like you know like trees are actually really like beautiful when you take a time to like look at them and you're just like looking at the leaves and like the colors and everything, especially like fall. Just like taking those moments and like just like breathing and like relaxing. It's just like I feel like it's also a part of ethnic studies.
Yeah, it's like the other day, it was my day off, and I was laying in bed watching Netflix, and then my brother calls me. He's like, "Hey, I'm outside," and I was like, "Okay." And he's like, "Come open the door for me," and I'm like, "Okay." So I went to go open it, and he brought over my little niece. She just turned 1 year old, so she's waddling up around everywhere. She just wants to run around and stuff. And then we were outside, we were playing, and then my other brother, he left the gate open for the house. So then she just waddles outside the gate, and I was like, I'm gonna go follow her, see where she goes. She was just running up and down the street, because like we live in a court type thing. She was up and down running the street, and I'm just like going up, following her around, making sure she doesn't fall and stuff. So I was kind of like, I was in my bed watching Netflix, and I got up to go, you know, so I was kind of like, oh, like it was nice. Because sometimes I don't see her for like weeks, because when he goes over, I'm either working or I just never kind of like not there at the same time he goes over. So I was like, I hadn't seen her in a while, so like being there with her, walking, even though she tires me out, she's too much energy. So, but I was like, it's still nice being, you know, especially since I hadn't seen her in such a long time.
Yeah.
I feel like it's such like a heartwarming feeling too. Like me personally, I'm not really close to my family, but like as you guys say, like in the moments, like they like feel like so like nice and like I don't know, it's like oh family, you know?
Yeah.
And then I don't know, back to the topic of like the little kids with like grandma. I find it so sad when I see that, because like the grandma or grandpa probably want to talk, like you know, like,
well they're just
like,
sitting there
in silence, and then like the little phone's on their phone, their little boy's on the phone. I just find it so sad. I'm like, dude, get off the phone. Like, come on now.
Well, it's even when it's like teenagers doing that. Like,
Yeah.
I was literally so mad. I was like, I literally just want to say something or like, you know, do something, because that's so. I think of it as if that were me and my dad or my mom saw me doing that, I would have literally gotten my ass beat.
Right.
Like, I would have been, you know, yelled at, you know, I would have been got everything taken away. Cause that, to me, it's, like, disrespectful. And that's what I would have been in trouble for, is being disrespectful. So, yeah, it's just crazy to me.
Yeah. Not only is it, like, disrespectful, but it's also, like, it's, like, wasting the opportunity to connect. Especially with, like, an elder family member. Just because, you know, they're not always going to be there.
Yeah.
It's like where I work. I've seen like it's always like a grandpa and his niece. They always go in. It's like one specific day, they always go in, get their food, they sit down, they talk over their food and stuff. And I'm just like, oh, that's so nice how they like keep it going. Like it's every week, it's a specific day that they go, and I'm just like, oh, that's so nice. How I don't know, I just find it kind of like, oh,
yeah. It is nice to have those moments, and like, I mean, I'm not perfect either. Like, there's a lot more that I could do with my sister, especially because I'm gone like 90% of the time now, because I basically live at my dad's house, and because of work and everything. So like, there's a lot more that I could do, and so it's also hard to be in the moment and find the time, and especially when, you know, like I'm 8 and 10 years older than my sisters. So it's like it's a lifetime difference. Like it's two completely different people. So it's like trying to find the time, and it's really heartwarming that there is people that do find the time to do that stuff.
Yeah, I know, like, my grandma and my grandparents, now that all the kids are out, all the grandkids are older, like I have cousins who are already having kids, and so now they're focused on their family, where they're just, like, really, like, they're like, thank you for calling me, like, just, like, calling them and talking to them, because, you know, they're just, like, by themselves, especially, like, my grandpa, he comes over, like, once a week, just because, like, he lives by himself and everything, and so, you know, they get lonely, too, so it's just, like, it's also, like, a humane thing, and, like, also, you know, but also, at the same time, it's, like, it's a really nice feeling to connect with, you know, other people.
It's like how you said at the beginning, how, like, communication, or, like, a little conversation can just change the whole thing.
Yeah.
Have you guys learned anything more about yourselves? Like, I've learned that my mom is like Irish. She's Native American and mostly white, but I didn't know that in the starting or like the midterm. We didn't have answers. She's like, I don't know, whatever, I think I'm this. And so I was like, okay, whatever. And then I was able to talk and have more time with my grandparents. And my papa told me, he was like, yeah, I think we're Native American. I don't know which kind, but like Native American. And I was like, okay, so like I learned something more. Everything about my dad's history, about me being Italian. And I guess I don't know what I am. I don't know, specifically. I want to do the, like, 23andMe. Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's
So,
something like that.
I've done that, yeah.
I want to do the DNA thing to, like, figure out exactly what I am, because my parents don't know exactly. I mean, I know I'm Italian and white, but I don't know exactly what, or, like, what percentage. And so I got to learn more about my mom from the midterm to now, which was really interesting to see about my background.
Yeah, same with, like, my grandparents, too, like, talking to them, and, like, apparently one of my, like, great-great-great-grandmother was, like, her family was really rich in Spain, but she fell in love with, like, a tribesman, like the chief's son of a tribe in Mexico, and so the family was like, if you marry him, you know, no more money, but she chose to marry him and everything, and so I don't know the specifics, though. It'd be really cool to know the specifics and everything. But yeah, so hearing that story is like, it sounds like a movie or something.
It does, yeah.
That's what I was saying. Cool. I was like, that's a movie. That sounds exactly what a movie, like a princess movie, a Disney movie, something like that. That's really cool, though, to, like, know those stories.
Just, like, so learning more, like, history and more, like, kind of making your history more personal and, like, not just, like, in the past, like, making, you know, the people who lived before you, like, also, like, human and, like, sharing their stories, like, they actually had a life with feelings and choices and everything, and just, like, acknowledging that, too, is important.
What were we talking about? I forgot.
Have you learned anything more about yourself?
Oh, right. Okay. I don't know. I feel like my parents, they're not the type to, like, really talk too much about their past. Like, I know my dad, he says he doesn't feel like, because they've been here for, like, 20-something years, and I was like, oh, well, when you get the chance to, like, do you want to go back to, like, where you grew up, where you came from and stuff? And he's like, no, I really don't. So I'm kind of like, makes me wonder why I asked him, but he doesn't really talk about it too much. So
Do you think his silence is almost like an answer in itself?
maybe it could be, because, I mean, I don't know, maybe he thinks that either he did or happened and stuff like that. He just doesn't want to remember them or revive them. So I guess, yeah, it could be.
For me, I don't know. I don't think so that I've learned anything new. I mean, I learned that my grandma owns like a little shop of candy. I did not know that. I guess my dad's grandma owned one, and I think she still owns one to this day, but that's really all I know. My grandparents don't really remember a lot, or my mom or my dad, so. Yeah.
It's not freeze-dried candy in Houston, because that's the only candy place I know about. Did you guys know there's one in Houston?
Yeah, the freeze-dried candy's so good.
It's really good. That's the only candy
I
place I've
tried
had.
it, but I don't like it.
I like the Skittles.
I've never tried it.
Have you
tried
I
it?
want to try it though.
I have
What is
to
it?
like go
Like
there.
I want to try
Freeze-dried-
Swedish
freeze-dried
Swedish
candy.
candy. Have you guys seen that on your like TikToks?
Where
Swedish
it's like
candy?
No.
it almost
No.
turns like almost
I'll
like
have
a
to.
cheese puff
I'll have
consistency.
to, yeah.
But
Is
my
it kinda
my
like
parents'
the dry
friends
ice
got them
cream
this
type?
box,
Yeah,
and it's
I
like
tried the
a
dry
bunch
ice
of
cream.
different snacks from like other countries.
Mm.
So it was like there's like chips, there's a drink, there's candy. It was really cool. Like some of the stuff was like weird. I'm like, I don't want to eat that like at all.
It's really cool because there's, I don't know exactly what it's called, but there's like this box and you can order them from different parts around the world, and they give you food, like non-perishable items,
Yeah.
like chips and stuff like that, and it was really cool. I've tried that with my uncle, and that's a way for us to like connect on a way and talk with part of my mom's family that we don't really talk to a lot. So once a month we used to like try this food. We've tried ones from all around the world, and it
Yeah.
was really cool to see because like their food and their lifestyle of food, I guess, because sometimes like Britain, candies, like chocolate candies, so much better than ours. Like
Really?
it's so much better. I can't. It's so much better. Like it makes my mouth water thinking about it, and it's crazy how like I don't know, like different places are different. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
All of a sudden
crazy.
it's cool.
Like I recently like I'll be like I drive a lot. Like it's insane when I drive, but I'll be driving and I'll be like, all of these people are going to different
That's what
places,
Oh yeah.
different lives, and then I'm like thinking about how like there's a ton of more people than like we could ever like imagine. Because like even like I went to school in Manteca, but I grew up between Manteca and Sonora. I know everyone in Sonora. Like literally everyone knows everyone. You're probably one person removed from literally everyone in Sonora. It's that small of a town. Like I was at a wedding this weekend, and then the person we had it at a house, and the neighbor of this guy's house was the stepsister to one of the bridesmaids. Like, what are the odds of that? Like, it's just, it's insane. It's a small town. But, like, I know everyone there, and then I'm, like, I go to Manteca, and I'm, like, I know, like, these people are the people I went to school with, but then, like, I never see them either. And so it's crazy how there's so many people in the world, and then, like, you don't even know how they're living, or, like, what, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's insane.
It's crazy to think that like
It's also cool to have, like, that little thing to connect with family.
yeah, like being able to do different things with your family and everything, and teach the young about how we're all different and how it's okay. Like we can teach our little nieces, nephews, cousins all young. We don't need a teacher to teach them. We can do that. We don't have to have the parents do it. I know my nieces, she's 2 and she starts to ask a lot of questions, and it's nice to answer them, and she'll be like, oh, why does that person have something on their head, or why are they wearing a mask? And I'm just like, oh, it's their culture. Oh, that's how they want to do. It's normal.
Yeah, it's their
Like,
preference, yeah.
it's how everyone's different, and it's nice to tell her that without her like gonna grow up and be like, oh, well, they're different. That's
Yeah.
a bad thing.
Yeah,
You know.
or being judgmental about
Yeah.
it instead of just being educated.
Because little kids are gonna ask questions no matter what, and either it depends how you respond. If you
Yeah.
respond, oh, it's because they're it's
Especially like little kids asking questions. Little kids are like
Yeah.
the pinnacle of asking questions, but in such an innocent way. I was in an elevator like
And it could be
I remember
mean.
this is like 5 years ago. I was in an elevator, and we were going like wherever we were going, and this guy came in and he had a prosthetic leg and a prosthetic arm. And I don't know this little kid. This little kid was in there with his mom, and he goes to his mom, like, what happened to that guy's leg and arm? You can hear him whispering because he can't whisper either. And she's like, the guy answered, and he like said like he lost it, and like, you know, he was in an accident or whatever. And he said he lost it. And this little kid asked, he's like, did you check between the couch cushions? My mom is always losing stuff there. And he goes, and my dad's always losing stuff in his truck. Did you look there? And literally the mom looks so mortified. But like that, it's just it's to show that like it's the innocence of that. And like they have no idea that what they just said is utterly ridiculous and doesn't make sense at all. But it's like, how can you... Why would you want to ruin that in someone? Like, why would you want to teach a kid to be judgmental instead of just honest and, like, ask a question, not in a judgmental way, or, like, stare instead of just asking a question?
And that's what this course has taught us. It's like, yeah, we already knew it all, but it helped us realize it, I think, more watching those documentaries and listening to guest speakers and how, like, on Zoom, and the difference, like, the one with the, like the ribbon. It was right. She was on Zoom.
Like the weaving.
Yeah, the weaving one.
Yeah, with the dyes.
Yeah, the dyes. That was really cool. She used the natural stuff. Like I didn't know that was
Even
possible.
possible. Yeah.
It was really cool to listen to that.
Yeah. But I feel like that's the stuff that needs to be shared.
Yeah.
To keep that stuff alive, and if you don't, then you know, if we don't do that, then the world's gonna keep getting caught up in irrelevant drama and irrelevant, like, you know, reviewing Met Gala looks instead of talking about, you know, art and stuff like that.
That's the importance of this.
Yeah.
So, I think that's gonna conclude our podcast. Like, does anyone just like want to have a quick, like, just go around and have a quick like overview, last thought we want to, yeah. So I would just let's just end it real quick. Just saying like from just talking, it just seems like what we want is just like people to be more open-minded and teach the younger generations that, you know, that difference is good and it's not a bad thing, and just to be more accepting and kind of take it upon yourself to explore yourself so that you can be better, so you can help others as well.
Yeah.
You said it the best.
Yeah. I think that concludes our final podcast.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.